I'm telling you right now that rebuilds can actually be quite fun in the NHL. Now, I know that. I'm going to say it again. Rebuilds can be fun in the NHL. Now, I know that people might roll their eyes at that, but man, they can. You can get all of these draft picks. Your waiver priority is better. You get to, and another exciting thing about rebuilding is, obviously seeing how good your young players are. Now, I know if a Buffalo Sabres fan is going to listen to that, they're rolling their eyes because their team has been bad forever. And sometimes you might never pull out of a rebuild or whatever. But honestly, I just look at rebuilds as being fun. Obviously, you have so many good young players in the league. Macklin, Celebrini, Connor Bedard, Leo Carlsson. My God, is Leo Carlsson good. Can you imagine those players in a Canuck jersey? Hell yes, absolutely. Now, I want to talk about how that's going to relate back to the Vancouver Canucks and trade rumors in this video, but welcome back to Pixel Plus Hockey. If you could make sure to hit that subscribe button, it would be so greatly appreciated, and thank you so much to those that are already supporting me as well. It is very humbling. So today we did hear, or recently, that Kiefer Sherwood and the Vancouver Canucks are kind of not close on a contract, or they are not really negotiating that much at all. And I actually think that is actually a smart move by the Canucks. I've said for a while that I think that what he is going to command in the NHL, in NHL free agency, is going to be more than the Canucks should pay. At this point, I'm just leaning to rebuild for the Vancouver Canucks. I think it's better, and I think it can go a lot quicker than you think, depending on what you do with your assets. You're going to have to sit down Quinn Hughes. You're going to have to say, like, listen, we got to figure this out, big guy, right? Like, they're not winning with him, so they just got to figure it out. You got to figure out with Kiefer Sherwood, and we have some information that they might be able to get a lot more than you think for this player. So I just kind of want to remind you of what David Pagnotta said about this, quote, there's a little bit of hesitancy. He keeps this up, he's probably in the $4 to $5, maybe $5 million range depending on term. The Canucks are and were anyway weary allocating those type of cap dollars, David Pagnotta said, close quote. And again, I completely agree with this. This is where I would start backing away. And this is where I would start saying, what can we get for this player? Because remember, making good trades makes your rebuild faster. All you have to do is hit on some picks, wait a little bit of time, and if you get the right players, your team can be very competitive, perhaps even a Stanley Cup contender. Now, this is another really interesting quote, and this is how the Vancouver Canucks can maximize Kiefer Sherwood's value. Quote, this is from Chris Johnson. Quote, after scoring a career-best 19 goals last season, Sherwood is on pace to smash that total in 2025-2026 thanks to a torrid start. He's an excellent skater with a good work ethic, well-suited to disrupt opponents on the forecheck. The Canucks haven't shown any inclination to sign the pending unrestricted free agent to a contract extension, but signing him with a new contract in place would maximize his trade value, Johnson said. Now that is very, very interesting. So again, what he's talking about here is a sign and trade to maximize his value. Man, a lot of teams that are going into the playoffs that are going for it would give you a ton for a player like this. Good skater, good work ethic, can put the puck in the net. Kiefer Sherwood does seem like the type of player that probably could score a lot of big goals in the playoffs. Like, he does seem like that type of gritty type player, right? And what worries me about this is the Vancouver Canucks are in the mushy middle, right? They're just not bad enough to get the top pick. They're not good enough, I don't think, at least right now, to make the playoffs. Now, we have another really interesting quote here, and this is where it starts. Quote, you can probably get a first-round pick if you took something back on Sherwood, close quote. So essentially what they're saying is a contract back. And this is from Rick Dollywall. Interestingly enough, though, here's the thing. I wonder what they could get for him if they took a contract back and had him signed to a contract extension. Could they get a first, a second, a good prospect from a team? What I will be looking for from the other teams that you would trade him to, whatever team it might be, is I would be looking for a first-round pick and a very good young prospect, something like that, to maximize the player's value. Crazy too, because he's only making about $1.5 million with no trade protection as well. So this is going to be an asset that the Vancouver Canucks are going to be able to cash in on. Question of the video, what exactly would you look for Kiefer Sherwood? What teams do you think would actually be interested in this player? This is going to be an interesting one to watch. As I said earlier, though, when it comes to Quinn Hughes, I think that you're going to have to sit this guy down. Like, I really do actually think you're going to have to sit him down and put some pressure on him. For example, let's talk about the Maple Leafs for a second. They should have put pressure on Mitch Marner earlier. I think they should have put pressure on him and said, what are you doing here? We're going to figure this out. I think the Canucks need to do the same thing with Quinn Hughes. You need to, obviously, don't be rude to the guy. You're still going to be a professional organization, but you need to start putting pressure on him, saying, like, listen, we don't think this is going the right way. With Quinn Hughes, it's going to be a bit more difficult to trade him because he has trade protection, I'm sure. But that's where it becomes more complex. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see if they trade him, what kind of value they do get. Now, I know there are going to be a lot of people that might be in the comments saying, well, the Vancouver Canucks were injured this season. They did have a lot of injuries, and perhaps they could have had a better season, right? Which is true, but it's just like, I just don't see this being a competitive roster. I think that they could have made the playoffs if they were more healthy. It's possible any team in the NHL makes the playoffs with breaks go their way, because hockey is kind of a random game, but it kind of just is what it is right now. I wanted to shift gears a little bit here and talk about Elias Pettersson. And I wanted the Canucks to keep him, by the way. I'm always going to say that. I remember saying, no, the Canucks should keep this player. He's a center. He's still really good. And I'm glad that they did keep him because he has 19 points in 21 games. And I think that you could actually rebuild with a player like this. He's a center. He's good, and it could make your rebuild a lot quicker as well. They don't have to completely break down their roster, by the way. They just have to shift their thinking to prospects, picks, trading off assets kind of thing to be a decent team. Quinn Hughes said he's not interested in a rebuild, so I would assume he's out. But again, Elias Pettersson is already locked up, and he's been pretty good this year, so I'm going to give him credit where it is due. He's been a lot better than JT Miller, wink, wink. I mean, JT Miller right now has like 10 points in 21 games for the New York Rangers. Not really good. So honestly, the Vancouver Canucks actually did get rid of the right player there. I don't know if you guys saw that one play where JT Miller was just floating through the ice. They were playing the Golden Knights, and he just horrible defense, just floating through the ice. And I was like, my God, like, I'm kind of glad that the Vancouver Canucks have gotten rid of that player. Great player. When he plays good, he's scored like 32 goals, but man, I think that the Vancouver Canucks did make a good decision there, in my opinion, if you know what I mean, if you did see that video anyway. Anyways, guys, I think I am going to leave this video here. If you can make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it, guys, and make sure to have a great day. Goodbye, guys.